Welcome to Historical Highway, where we journey through the corridors of time to uncover the most astonishing blunders in history. Today, we're diving into a series of epic mistakes, some so monumental they've altered the course of history, and others, well, let's just say they're facepalm worthy. So, buckle up as we set off on this historical adventure. Imagine the scene in London, 1814. The bustling city streets, usually alive with the sounds of daily commerce and chatter, were suddenly transformed into rivers of chaos, not with the typical English rain, but with an unexpected and surreal beer flood. Yes, you're hearing this correctly. A literal tsunami of beer. This incident might sound like a peculiar dream or a scene from a fantastical tale, but it was, in fact, a harsh and tragic reality. Nestled in the heart of London was the Horseshoe Brewery, a name synonymous with quality brewing since 1623. This brewery was no small venture. It was a cornerstone of the local industry, a proud producer of porter, a type of dark beer known for its rich taste and hearty consistency. On an unassuming October day, this bustling center of brewing encountered a catastrophic failure that would go down in history for its sheer absurdity and unexpected horror. A massive vat, one of the giants of the brewery, filled to the brim with over 320,000 gallons of fermenting porter, suddenly and inexplicably burst. The sheer force of the explosion was like nothing the city had seen before. It set off a domino effect, with the initial burst leading to more vats succumbing to the pressure. In moments, what was a contained brewing operation turned into an uncontrollable disaster. A towering wave of beer, standing at an unbelievable 15 feet high, surged through the streets with relentless force. It was like a scene from an apocalyptic film, thick, dark liquid cascading down the narrow lanes, engulfing everything in its path. Houses that had stood for decades crumbled under the pressure, their structures no match for the onslaught. The residents, caught completely off guard, found themselves in the middle of a nightmare, struggling against a flood of an entirely unexpected nature. 8 individuals, each with their own story, their own connections, and their own lives to live, were tragically swept away in this unforeseen disaster. These were not just numbers, they were people caught in a bizarre twist of fate, their lives ending amidst a scene that defied logic. In the aftermath of this calamity, the streets of London presented a surreal picture. They were soaked, not with the usual puddles from a London drizzle, but with beer. The smell of porter, usually confined to the cozy interior of pubs and taverns, now permeated the entire neighborhood. It lingered for months, a constant, pungent reminder of the disaster that had struck. But perhaps the most shocking aspect of this entire incident was the lack of accountability. The Horseshoe Brewery, despite its glaring oversight in vat maintenance, was not held responsible. The authorities deemed it an act of God, absolving human error in the catastrophe. This decision sparked debates and discussions on responsibility and the role of businesses in ensuring public safety. The London beer flood became not just a bizarre footnote in the city's history, but a case study in industrial responsibility and the need for stringent safety measures. Now, let's shift gears to a political blunder with lasting repercussions, the infamous Sykes-Picot Agreement. In the tumultuous year of 1916, as World War I raged across continents, a secret and fateful deal was struck, one that would irreversibly alter the fabric of the Middle East. This agreement, a clandestine arrangement between Britain and France, was set to carve up the vast and waning Ottoman Empire. However, the method of this division was alarmingly simplistic and dangerously ignorant of the region's intricate ethnic and religious tapestry. The architects of this agreement, British and French diplomats, approached the task with a sense of colonial entitlement, wielding their pens over maps as if they were divining the future with no regard for the lives that would be affected. They drew arbitrary lines across the heart of the Middle East, segmenting lands that had long been interwoven with diverse cultures and communities. This act of geopolitical engineering laid down new borders, creating the modern-day states of Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Israel, and Palestine. But these lines did not just demarcate territories. They split communities, divided families, and set the stage for a century of turmoil and strife. The Sykes-Picot Agreement was not just a political maneuver, it was a betrayal of trust on a grand scale. The irony of the situation was stark. This pact, shrouded in secrecy, was even kept hidden from Britain and France's wartime ally, Russia. The revelation of this agreement sowed deep seeds of mistrust and resentment, not only among the Allied powers, but also within the Arab world, where promises of independence and self-determination had been made during the war. The Arab communities, aspiring for freedom from Ottoman rule, were instead met with a new form of imperialism. The effects of the Sykes-Picot Agreement were not limited to political maps and diplomatic relations. They penetrated deep into the social and cultural fabric of the Middle East. The arbitrary borders ignored the complex tapestry of the region's ethnic and religious communities, sowing the seeds for future conflicts. The legacy of this agreement is a testament to the long-term impact of colonialist policies and the dangers of treating nations and cultures as mere pawns in geopolitical games. The repercussions of the Sykes-Picot Agreement continue to reverberate through the decades, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. Its story serves as a stark reminder of the lasting consequences of political arrogance and the importance of respecting the intricate mosaic of human societies. Before we wrap up our historical exploration, let's delve deeper into one of the most bewildering military blunders ever recorded, the Battle of Karansebes in 1788. This event stands as a stark example of confusion and miscommunication leading to disaster, a scenario almost comedic if it weren't so tragic. In an almost unbelievable twist, the Austrian army, one of the major powers of its time, ended up engaging in a catastrophic battle against an unexpected foe itself. This incident unfolded amidst the Austro-Turkish War, a conflict marked by its high stakes and intense rivalries. The Austrian army, on high alert for any sign of the Ottoman forces, encamped near the town of Karansebes, now in modern-day Romania. As night descended, a series of missteps and misunderstandings began to unfurl. It started with a group of scouts who, upon returning to camp, brought with them a supply of alcohol, a seemingly innocent act that would have dire consequences. In the darkness of the night, amidst an atmosphere charged with tension and anticipation of battle, the alcohol began to flow. Soldiers, eager for a reprieve from the stresses of war, partook in the merriment. But as spirits ran high, so did anxieties and paranoia. A simple shout, a mistaken identity, and suddenly a full-scale battle erupted. Austrian troops, clouded by the darkness and disoriented by the alcohol, mistook their fellow soldiers for Ottoman enemies. The chaos was immediate and overwhelming. Musket fire lit up the night as regiments turned on each other, each believing they were facing the Ottoman army. The sound of gunfire and cannonades echoed through the camp, a grim symphony of friendly fire. As the night wore on, the scale of the misunderstanding grew, and with it, the casualties mounted. By the time dawn broke, the grim reality became painfully clear. Over 10,000 soldiers lay victim to this tragic mistake. The Battle of Karansebes stands as a cautionary tale of the perils of miscommunication and the chaos that can ensue from a lack of clear leadership and coordination. It's a reminder that in the fog of war, Not all battles are against a clear enemy. Sometimes the greatest danger lies within. This bizarre episode in military history is not only a testament to the unpredictability of war, but also to the sometimes absurd and tragic consequences of human error. History, as we see, is not just about victories and progress. It's also a tale of mistakes, some humorous, others tragic, but all offering invaluable lessons. Thanks for joining us on this historical journey down Historical Highway. If you enjoyed this trip through time, give us a like and subscribe for more fascinating historical explorations.